Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatati Satagini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Mukham Karoti Vachalam Tangum Hite, Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande, Shri Gurun Dinatarine, Hare Krishna. So today we will see verse number 6 of chapter 5, Karma Sannyas. So let us chant the shloka. Sannyasastu Mahabaho
Sannyasasthu Mahabaho
Duk- Dukkam Dukkam aptum yogata
Dukkam Aptam Ayogataha
yoga yukto munir brahma
Yoga Yukto Munit Brahma
na chirena digacchati
Nitirena Digachati
sanyasastu mahabaho
Sannyasasthu mahabaho
dukkam aptum ayogata
dukkhamaptu mayogata
yoga yukto munir brahma
yoga yukto munir brahma
na chirena digacchati.
na chirena digacchati.
Please chant.
Sannyasasthu Mahabaho Dukkam Aptam Ayogataha Yoga Yukto Munit Brahma Nachirana Digachati.
संन्यासस्तु महाबाहो दुःखम् अप्तुम् अयोगतः योगमुक्तो मुनिर्ब्रह्मा न चिरानेति गच्छति
संन्यासस्तु महाबाहो दुःखम् अप्तुम् अयोगता योगयुक्तो मुनिर्ब्रह्मा नाचिरेत् अधिगच्छति.
Thank you very much. So, translation and purport. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Purport. There are two classes of sannyasis or persons in renounced order of life. The Mayavadi sannyasis are engaged in study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in study of Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Mayavadi sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutra but use their own commentary called Shariraka Bhashya, written by Shankaracharya. The students of Bhagavad school are engaged in devotional service of the Lord according to Ratrika regulations, and therefore Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagements in transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasis have nothing to do with material activity, yet they perform various activities in their devotional service of the Lord. But the Mayavadi sannyasis engaged in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation cannot release the transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation and thus they take shelter of Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculation and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in discharge of their transcendental duties and they have guarantee of ultimate entrance into kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of a philanthropic or altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, The conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna conscious activities are better situated than sannyasis engaged in simple speculation about what is Brahman, what is not Brahman. Although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. So here now we have seen Arjuna's question was, which is better, karma sannyas or karma yoga? Krishna told karma yoga is better. In the last couple of shlokas, Krishna told that uh, the goal of karma sannyas and karma yoga is same, but uh, the ultimate goal is self-realization or and liberation. But yesterday shloka we saw that the process is different. So now, till now, Krishna didn't tell why he is recommending karma yoga and not just karma sannyas. So in this shloka, Krishna starts explaining why karma yoga is better. Why sannyas yoga is not recommending sannyas yoga. So sannyasastu mahabaho. So mahabaho is Arjuna, is most powerful. So Sannyasastu. So the renounced order of life is what? Dukkham aptum ayogata. So ayogata means without yoga. So without connecting with the supreme, or without connecting with the spiritual platform. So without connecting with the higher consciousness. If you take sannyas, which is like actually premature sannyas that many people take. So if a sannyasi is not connected with yoga and he tries to do sannyas, take sannyas and study the Sankhya philosophy, then it is how what it results in dukkha. So it results in distress. So why? Because sannyasi means you have to give up the material desires. So you give all the activities which are based on the material desires. In chapter 18, it is mentioned. So you give, so yeah, and you try to study. But at that stage, you are still not having any spiritual connection. So now our soul, by nature, it is pleasure seeking. Okay? Satchidananda Vigraha. So it is always seeking pleasure. So in material life, if even if the pleasure results into great misery, but still there is pleasure at the material level. And if okay, if at the spiritual level, the pleasure is eternal and blissful. But if you give up some the material connection, so you give up the material pleasures, desire for material pleasures, and you are not still connected with the spiritual, or your heart is not pure. Where your heart is not pure means your desires are not yet purified. You still have desires for material things, but you have taken the sannyas. So that becomes a very difficult path. It becomes very difficult for sannyasi to remain at the consciousness where he does not have to focus on material things. But because there is no connection with the higher self, ayogata, there is no connection with the higher self. So the soul and the body or the sannyasi gets dukkham. He gets distressed. It becomes very difficult. And the result of this is either they will give up the sannyas or they will do the activities which are not exactly spiritual, but that gives them some pleasure at material level, and they start thinking that okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. So that is a dukkha. But on the other hand, yoga yukto munir brahma, yoga yukto, so person who is doing the karma yoga, who is doing the activities in the devotional service, and Krishna calls this person also muni. So muni actually generally Shastra refers to a person who is in renounce order of life, or who is doing lot of tapascharya. But here, yoga yukto, so person who is doing karma yoga is also called muni, because we saw in the last shlokas that if you give up the desires for the um, results of your activities, then you are muni, you are a good person, you are a good thinker, as Srila Prabhupada translates. So what he gets, what is the result? Chirena adi gacchati. So he attains the supreme, what? Brahma. He attains the supreme Chirena, na chirena, very fast, without delay. So here, this nachirena means uh, quickly, but this quickly does not mean that okay, today we do and tomorrow we get. No, it that quickly means in the best possible speed. Okay, the best possible minimum time that will be possible by this. So it is specifying the relative time taken as compared with the other processes. So, Nachirena. So sometimes we think Nachirena means okay in 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. Of course, Srila Prabhupada mentions that it is possible in 1 second also, if you can fully surrender. But if you cannot, then it will come in due course of time. But at least there is a possibility. And because this person is yoga yukto, because he is connected in the devotional service with the higher consciousness, he is getting pleasure from doing the devotional activities. So that may not be a completely spiritual bliss or spiritual pleasure, but still there is sense, or there is a slight uh, image or slight influence of the spiritual uh, satisfaction. And by that satisfaction and the pleasure, the muni or the person who is doing the karma yoga can continue all his activities. And by this, he will slowly improve his consciousness and go towards Brahma. So his movement or his progress will be upwards. On the other hand, the sannyasi, if he's not connected with the yoga, it is very difficult for, or it's very challenging. So Krishna here gives or tells Arjuna that Arjuna, if you are trying to renounce your dharma and go to forest, then it will give you only dukkha. But if you fight, then you are getting you will attain the Brahma quickly. And Krishna already told Arjuna that the purpose of both the system is self-realization. So by doing the karma yoga, you will be getting the liberation or the Brahma quickly. So why you want to renounce the war and go to forest? That is not a correct step. So giving up our prescribed duties or our activities by our dharma is never prescribed by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. In 18th chapter also we see Krishna always mentions that do your duty. So we have to do our karma, but yoga yukto. If we can do yoga yukto, then slowly we make progress towards the self-realization. So Krishna will give more points why he is recommending karma yoga in next show class. So that we will see from tomorrow. Hare Krishna will continue to read that. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, actually, I'm asking this question, but please don't take it in a wrong way. Actually, at the time of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada has given like many people sannyas at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that time even they were not aware of many things. I don't know. Maybe Prabhupada has given, so he must have given with some purpose. So can we relate something? Can in by this shloka or something like that?
Yeah, so she when Srila Prabhupada gave sannyas to the young people, right? Many young people, but all these sannyasis they never, including Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada at the age of 70 or 75, whatever he traveled for doing the preaching activities throughout the world, I think nobody traveled so much at that time. Any businessman also. So Srila Prabhupada also was sannyasi, but he was completely engaged in all the devotional activities, 24 hours. So whenever Srila Prabhupada gave sannyas to any of his disciples, he never suggested them to study. He always asked them to engage in the preaching activities. So there are instruction that you should not stay in one place for 3 days, because just continuously do on preaching. So Srila Prabhupada has tremendous faith on this process of preaching and Harinam. And of course, Srila Prabhupada was very brave, and he also took some risks to spread the Krishna consciousness, just like his Guru Maharaj, right? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he also took risk to spread the mission. So of course, there were some cases where it didn't go right, as mentioned in the shloka. It becomes dukkha to maintain that sannyas dharma. So some cases it didn't work out, but most of the cases what Srila Prabhupada planned worked. And because yoga yukta, they were yoga yukta, he asked them to preach, open the center, engage in all the activities. So he tried from his side that okay, don't be free. So in Krishna also says in shloka, it becomes dukkha, and if there is dukkha, of course there is chance of some mishappenings or miscalculation. But I think Srila Prabhupada's vision was to spread the mission in whatever time he had. And so that's why Srila Prabhupada took some risks always. And that Srila Prabhupada says, he himself says, I took risk. And becoming a sannyasi at that moment of the time, the recognition was much higher. So Srila Prabhupada did from that angle. So we can, of course, appreciate how Srila Prabhupada took risk to spread the mission. And yeah, some fallouts are there, but that's Krishna also says it's not everybody will be able to follow. So I think Srila Prabhupada also, based on what Krishna has told, he followed all possible ways, I think.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. I'm
Yeah.
really sorry for this question.
No, it's okay. It's that actually glorifies Srila Prabhupada. How much compassionate he was for all the living entities, that he himself was ready to take the risk, and he knew that his god brothers or others will, of course, point fingers, but he was ready to do that for spreading the mission. That's actually glorification of Prabhu Srila Prabhupada. No problem.
Yes, right. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much. So let's see more why Krishna recommends Karma Yoga and why we should do our work also as per our dharma. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare